Among all the fighters who ever lived, no one ever moved quite like Bruce Lee. When he kicked, it wasn't just a strike. It was an explosion of speed, precision, and raw power, blended with perfect grace. His flying kick was more than just a martial arts move. It became a symbol of what human motion could achieve when body and mind reached total harmony. That legendary kick wasn't created overnight. It came from years of hard work, sleepless nights, and a burning fire inside Bruce to go beyond every physical limit. He never believed in shortcuts. For him, repetition was the path to mastery. He didn't just practice the move 100 times. He practiced it thousands of times until it became as natural as breathing. He once said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." Bruce was that man, the one who turned repetition into perfection. When he trained, Bruce focused on 3 elements: balance, speed, and timing. Power didn't mean much to him without control. Every part of his body, from his toes to his shoulders, worked together like a single living machine. His flying kick wasn't just a jump. It was a chain reaction of energy built from the ground up, the legs pushing, the hips twisting, the body rotating in one seamless flow. He observed how wind moved, how birds launched into the air, how athletes leaped. He studied motion in everything around him and turned those lessons into martial art. People said that when Bruce Lee jumped, even gravity seemed to pause. In his classic films like Fist of Fury and The Way of the Dragon, his flying kicks looked almost supernatural. His body appeared to float for a split second longer than physics should allow. But that wasn't a camera trick. It was total mastery over his mind and body. Bruce practiced his kicks with unmatched intensity. He tied weights to his legs and trained until his muscles screamed. In his small studio in Hong Kong, the sound of his kicks slicing the air echoed like thunder. Each kick cut through the silence with precision. His students often stood speechless as they watched him send heavy punching bags swinging violently with one clean strike. One unforgettable moment came in 1964, during a martial arts exhibition in Long Beach, California. It was Bruce's chance to show America what he could really do. The audience was full of fighters, athletes, and film directors. Wearing a plain white t-shirt and black trousers, Bruce stepped onto the mat. He didn't say much. He simply looked at a volunteer standing a few meters away, then suddenly sprinted forward. In less than a second, his body lifted. His right leg shot forward like lightning, and his foot slammed into the volunteer's chest, launching him backward. The crowd gasped in disbelief. That day, the Western world witnessed power, speed, and control in their purest form. Bruce's flying kick wasn't only about strength, it was about spirit. He often said that when you kick, your body, mind, and soul must move together as one. His philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist, was built on freedom and fluidity. He believed no single style should define a fighter. He took useful techniques from every art and discarded what didn't work. His flying kick embodied that idea, simple, efficient, and unstoppable. When he moved to Hollywood, producers sometimes asked him to exaggerate his moves for cinematic effect. Bruce refused. "If I kick," he said, "I kick to hit, I don't fake." Even on film sets, stuntmen could feel the power behind his kicks. Cameras in the 1970s couldn't even record his true speed. They had to slow down the footage so the audience could see his strikes clearly. The flying kick scene in Enter the Dragon became legendary. During the final fight, Bruce launches himself into the air with a burst of energy, a perfect mix of beauty and destruction. That single frame changed martial arts cinema forever. Millions of fans watched that moment and felt chills. It was more than action, it was art in motion. Soon, martial artists around the world began trying to imitate his flying kick. Training halls everywhere echoed, with students leaping and striking, trying to recreate Bruce's form. But few came close. His secret wasn't just technique, it was mindset. To him, fear was the real enemy. "Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, and like water," he taught. When Bruce jumped, he didn't think about gravity or falling. He thought about flow and then from ground to air to target. One breath, one motion. His students often shared memories of his intense training sessions. He'd ask them to stand still, breathe deeply, and visualize their kick before moving. "See the air break before your foot even touches it," he'd say. He believed mental focus was as vital as physical repetition. Every kick began in the mind, long before the body moved. After his death, martial artists and scientists studied his kicks frame by frame. Biomechanics experts discovered that his jumps were timed with perfect synchronization, starting with the toes, transferring energy through his legs and hips and releasing it in a precise burst at impact. It was like controlled lightning. Some analysts even compared the force of his kicks to that of a small car crash, but no number or formula could capture the feeling of watching Bruce in motion. His kicks weren't just powerful, they were alive, filled with rhythm and spirit. In his notebooks, Bruce often wrote about what he called the art of motion. To him, martial arts was more than combat. It was a way of expressing yourself honestly. His flying kick represented that belief completely. It was his art form, his statement to the world that beauty and strength could exist together in one explosive moment. Friends and students recalled how Bruce would train long after everyone else had gone home. The sound of his foot slicing through air echoed in the still night. Sweat pooled on the floor as he repeated the same movement again and again. When someone once asked why he was still training so late, he smiled and said, "Because I can still be better." That single sentence captured his entire philosophy. The flying kick wasn't about perfection, it was about progress. Bruce believed there was always another level to reach, another step to take. Every day, he aimed to push beyond what he had achieved the day before. When fame finally surrounded him, people copied his movements, the screams, the gestures, the kicks, but they could never capture his essence. His flying kick became a symbol of freedom, not just in martial arts but in life. He taught that true strength doesn't come from muscles, but from the mind. The body only follows what the will commands. Today, when martial artists leap into the air to perform a flying kick, they are continuing Bruce Lee's legacy. Every controlled movement, every balanced strike carries a trace of his spirit. His name lives eternally in every dojo, gym, and screen where motion is honored. Even decades after his passing, fighters and stunt performers still study his tapes. They slow down his movements, frame by frame, trying to uncover how he made the impossible look effortless. Many say that within every flying kick lies a deeper lesson, one about focus, flow, and belief. Bruce Lee never saw a kick as an attack. For him, it was a message, a way to break through fear and limitation. He wasn't kicking at an opponent, he was kicking through barriers. His flying kick wasn't about destruction, it was about awakening human potential. It reminded everyone that discipline and belief could transform ordinary people into legends. There have been countless martial artists since Bruce Lee, but none like him. He didn't just redefine fighting, he redefined motion itself. His flying kick showed that the human body could achieve what the mind could imagine. He made the impossible real, the ordinary extraordinary. His influence spread far beyond the dojo and the movie screen. Dancers, athletes, and performers across the world drew inspiration from his energy. Even today, when someone performs a jump or a kick with fluid grace, somewhere in that motion is a trace of Bruce Lee's spirit. He showed the world that fighting could be poetic. Every time he leaped into the air, he told a story of passion, freedom, and courage. His movements were music without sound, philosophy without words. The magic of his flying kick wasn't just in how far he could jump or how strong he could hit. It was in how deeply it connected to people. Watching him made you believe you could do more, reach higher, and move beyond fear. That's why even after decades, that image of Bruce in midair still feels timeless, frozen forever between earth and sky, body and soul. There's a reason no one will ever replace him. Bruce didn't just perform martial arts, he lived it. He didn't separate his art from his life. They were one and the same. Every kick, every punch, every movement was a reflection of his philosophy, simplicity, truth, and expression. When he kicked, he wasn't competing with others, he was competing with himself. Each strike was a step closer to understanding who he truly was, and maybe that's what made his flying kick so powerful. It wasn't just an act of force, it was an act of self-discovery. His flying kick continues to inspire new generations, not just to fight but to express, to move with meaning. His legacy reminds us that mastery isn't about domination, it's about understanding your limits and breaking them one by one. The world has changed, technology has advanced, but Bruce Lee's philosophy remains as fresh as ever. See, in every martial arts school, every gym mirror, His shadow still leaps, reminding us what human potential looks like when passion meets discipline. He once said, "The key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering." Bruce Lee did exactly that. Every time his flying kick flashes across a screen, he lives again, not as an actor, but as a symbol of human excellence. The power of that moment, when Bruce took off the ground, body stretched, eyes focused, air cutting around him, still sends shivers through those who watch. It wasn't just a kick. It was a declaration that no wall, no boundary could hold the human spirit down. The world may never see another Bruce Lee, but as long as people believe in hard work, creativity, and courage, his energy will never fade. His flying kick will forever represent motion at its purest, energy, focus, and freedom united in one perfect second. Because when Bruce Lee took flight, the world stopped watching the fight. It started watching history being written in mid-air, and that is why his flying kick will never be forgotten, because it wasn't just a move that shocked the world, it was a movement that awakened it.